Good morning, everyone. My name is Todd Miner, and I'm a district manager with Michigan Rehabilitation Services out of the Northern Michigan District. Today is our first Friday event, which is the statewide initiative to support college access. A couple of housekeeping items is that caption is available. If you need that, please just select the CC closed caption button. And we're going to use the question and answer function. And if we have time at the end, we will address any questions that come up as a result of the presentation. Today, we're lucky to have Patrick Brown with us to do the presentation from the Michigan College Access Network. And I will turn that over to him for his presentation. Thank you, Patrick. Welcome.
Thank you, Todd. I'm happy to be here. And thank you, Bethany, for always being a partner and sharing this in a very inclusive manner. I'm happy to be here today on behalf of MCAN to share information about adult education services and 60 by 30 statewide programs and resources. My name is Patrick Brown, and I'm from the Michigan College Access Network. My portfolio of work is relatively new to our organization, and it's called the Adult Student Attainment Strategy. And I'll talk a little bit about what that means. But essentially, we are trying to lift up and to reach into historically underrepresented and marginalized communities across Michigan. Part of that is in partnership with our MyLeap department, which is the Michigan Department of Lifelong Education, Advancement, and Potential, as well as the Michigan Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity, My Student Aid, and the Office of 60 by 30. So let's get started. Today, I hope to give you a little bit of an overview of 60 by 30. That is our Michigan statewide goal that I hope you'll be familiar with or will become more familiar with. A little bit about MCAN and the work that we do in this adult space and how clients that you are engaged with every day are a part of that strategy and how we can assist them with these resources. And a little bit about financial aid scholarship programs available across the state of Michigan, including Michigan Reconnect. Now is the opportunity to take advantage of many of those resources. And we know that you work with clients every day that are eligible for those services or that you would like to refer into those spaces. So happy to share some information about that. And then certainly some time for question and answer at the end. So please feel free to put any questions and answers into the Q&A and we'll address those as we get to the end of the session today. So let's talk about 60 by 30. 60 by 30 is Michigan's goal for college attainment and achievement to increase the percentage of Michigan residents with degrees or post-secondary certificates to 60% by 2030. We are all are part of this goal. This is a bipartisan goal across numerous governors, across different legislative bodies. And it's a really goal that's set according to national and statewide trends. And what this means is college attainment, training, certificate, credential, and degree completion, all of those beyond high school, and that there is a pathway to college and future success in career and college for all Michiganders. The other piece that I'd like to share about this is charting the course to 60 by 30. What has led us here? This is our founding overarching documentation and guidance that kind of governs the work that we do at MCAN. And I'd like to just share a little bit of the pathway that led us to 60 by 30. Starting with a little bit about the Michigan College Access Network. So we're a statewide organization dedicated to raising up the 60 by 30 effort, including increasing college readiness, participation, and completion in Michigan, particularly among low-income students, first-generation college-going students, and students of color. These are our priority populations, if you will. Part of our work is through supporting institutions, post-secondary institutions, K-12 institutions, community-based organizations, through technical assistance, grant making, public policy, research sharing. We also have professional development opportunities. And we try to serve as a leader in this space to think about systems change work that will lead to 60 by 30 by increasing the odds and increasing the access and opportunity for all Michiganders to think about college attainment. We have kind of three core values in education. At MCAN, we define this term college, thinking about certificates and degrees beyond high school, and that it really is, as we think about Michigan's knowledge base and changing economy, a really important piece that all Michiganders have access to education. We also think about this through an equity lens, that every student in Michigan should have the opportunity to attend college and be able to realize their full potential. And lastly, we really value empowerment and believing that you all, individuals that work directly with clients that are interested in these spaces, are the agents of change that we can tap into. And so we're happy to be here as a part of that work to support and share resources that you can share directly with clients. Also thinking about 60 by 30, it's important that we think about the data and what the data tells us. Some of this information you might be familiar with, some of it may be new information that you're just hearing for the first time. I'd ask you to think about where you see the clients and individuals that you work with in this data. For a long time, I've worked in adult education, Title II services, and so very familiar with WIOA titles and the impact and upward mobility and trajectory that those programs can have on adults across the state of Michigan. And some of this data is in alignment with the stories and experiences that adult learners have, or that clients that you work with on a daily basis might have. So I'd invite you to think about that as we talk about the different data points. Let's talk about Michigan and meeting labor market needs. By 2031, 69% of all jobs in Michigan will require education beyond high school. This includes 35% with some college education or an associate's degree, or 34% with a bachelor's degree or higher. Our economy, what's important to know is that our economy is shifting in Michigan and across the nation from a skills-based economy to a knowledge-based economy, where employers are looking for opportunities to hire employees and workers who not only have the technical skills and the developmental skills needed to do a job, but also are able to upskill, transition, and to think about upward mobility within the workforce. Here's a graphic that kind of shows that a little bit more concretely broken down and finitely. And you'll see that a majority of those jobs, 69%, actually almost 70% now, will require that education beyond high school. That's been particularly important to me as I think about the adult learners that I've worked over time and transitioning them into gainful employment where they're earning high income wages and making family sustaining job impact for them and for those within their community. Looking at this nationally, the share of jobs will be increasing dramatically over the next decade across a majority of states in our country. So this isn't just a trend that we're seeing in Michigan. This is a trend that we're seeing across the nation. And Michigan really sits on the upward trajectory of that, along with many other states, thinking about the college skills and degrees and the necessary requirements that will be needed to make an educated workforce. We also think it's important to look at this by skill level. And so low skill occupations, middle skill occupations, and high school occupations are all important to look at across an economy. And within Michigan, you can see that the largest growth and trajectory is in those high skill occupational jobs. The middle and low skill occupational jobs are dramatically decreasing, as well as the requirements for high school or less. You can see that middle skill occupations job is dramatically decreasing in terms of the number of individuals that are needed in those positions and the number of opportunities that are available if someone only has that certain educational attainment level. And so all of this is important to consider and to think about. It's also important to not be discouraged by this. What we'll share a little bit later are the opportunities that lie ahead, and all of the spaces that you're a part of, lifting up and sharing information with your clients about the college training and degree and certificate completion opportunities that are available to them. But this is important when we think about trying to serve our clients and direct them into an economy, into job placement, and what resources are really available for them, and where will they find long-term success throughout the course of their career that's impactful not only to them, but to Michigan's economy and our ever-changing workforce. We also think that it's really important to link skill and educational levels at times when the economy is not strong. And you will see that over time, the earnings dramatically increase for those individuals that have an associate's degree or higher for an individual. But at the same time, the rates of unemployment are also dramatically reduced at those same levels. And so when there are economic downturns, such as some that Michigan has unfortunately experienced with the Great Recession or during COVID, those jobs that are most often protected or kind of safeguarded are those jobs that require that higher degree. And those individuals then and their families can be assured. It's almost like an insurance policy if you think about it in that way. Narrowing down this even more, the Michigan Center for Data and Analytics produces a Hot 50 job outlook periodically. The most recent came out in September of 2024. So very recent and very new. And this also was an increase from the last publication that they put out. I would encourage you to look at this. It's broken down across the state, but it's also broken down by geographic region and prosperity region. So you can see what the prospective job outlooks are for your particular region. But what the most recent report has outlined across our state is that 90% of Michigan's Hot 50 jobs, so the top jobs that are showing growth and trend acceleration over the next really 8 years, 90% of them will require formal learning past high school, a degree or certificate. This is what employers are telling us. This is what the data shows us. This is what the postings and positions and the requirements of those jobs are saying. That's 45 of the 50 jobs on that list. And 84% of those Hot 50 jobs will require a bachelor's degree or more. We also think it's important to look at the national perspective. We want Michigan to achieve and to thrive. And so when we look at the national perspective, you can see that Michigan sits really kind of in the middle here as we think about college attainment. We certainly are strong within our Midwest community and the states surrounding us, but also we have a ways to go to catch up with other states, including the District of Columbia and Massachusetts. I always think that it's important to highlight that we are slightly ahead of Ohio. And I know that for all of us that are college football fans, that's important. At least we get that win over Ohio in that regard. But all of that is important to point out that we have an opportunity to continue to reach this goal, continue to invest, continue to think about the pathways and resources that we need to implement and to have in place to continue to accelerate Michigan's growth and to allow students to have the opportunities and access that they need to, and workers as well. This is very similar information, so I won't spend too much time on this, but you can just see the current post-secondary education alignment across our state compared to the need. And the takeaway, I think, for this slide would just be that you will see that those spaces that are in the blue and the black, the high school or less, or the some college, no degree, those spaces are dramatically decreasing, or the need is decreasing, and the need for certificates, associate degrees, bachelor's degree, and higher is increasing, dramatically increasing. I'm going to share a little bit about MCAN and our adult student attainment strategy. But one of the core things that MCAN does as a statewide organization dedicated to this work is look at college access through 7 different factors. These are factors that are important not only to sustainability of programs, quality of programs, but also these are the indicators and factors that are ultimately helpful and important to students or potential workers. These are the things that will make someone feel comfortable. These are the things that will make someone feel successful. These are the things that will make someone feel valued in the work of pursuing higher education or college. The first is really focused on academic readiness. Individuals that invest their time, effort, and energy in this space want to know that they're ready, that they can do the work, that they have had experience taken into account, either credit for prior learning or work experience or life experiences. And some of the work that we think about is adult learners who have lived life experiences, who have external obligations of working and familial commitments, our caregivers in that sandwich population. They want to ensure that their time is valued. We also look at college affordability. That's such an important key factor in decision-making about pursuing additional opportunities. It's probably one of the most important opportunities. And we're going to share in just a few slides here about all of the efforts undertaken in Michigan over the last really 2 years around college affordability, ensuring that the resources are available for most anyone who wants to pursue higher education in Michigan, that they're available to them. The next are really focused on what it takes at institutions and what students are experiencing and facing. That includes enrollment, persistence, and completion. All of those pieces are really important when you think about the day-to-day of student success. Students and learners and workers want to know that their efforts are being done not in vain, but they're finding success and will ultimately lead them to completion of their goals. We look at things like enrollment across higher education institutions. Where are the marginalized communities represented? Are we having adult workers? Are we seeing persons with different abilities in this landscape and in this data? Those access points and routes we are always looking at. We also look at the completion and persistence resources available. What are the wraparound supportive services that are needed to help students thrive and to succeed? We have a concept at Michigan College Access Network called To and Through, getting learners, workers, students to college, but also through college. It's not just about getting them enrolled and then wishing them well. It is about really providing them the wraparound supportive services that are needed to help them achieve their goals and then ultimately move into attainment. And then lastly, probably the pillar of our work is culture. We are focused on systems changes. And what's nice about our adult student attainment strategy is that it focuses on adults as a population that move across systems. They go through the K-12 system, they go into the workforce development system, they go into the adult learning system and the post-secondary system. And so what are the resources that are needed regardless of where they start and regardless of where they finish? What are the resources that we need to have in place across institutions, across community-based partners and statewide leaders to support learners as they move in and out of those systems and find the pathway to success that works the best for them. So I hope that some of these indicators resonate with you and that you will look at these as pieces of information that are helpful when you're helping clients think about making decisions in this space, or that clients themselves might consider. These are really factors that they should be thinking about when they want to look at opportunities beyond finishing a high school credential. I talked a little bit about our adult student attainment strategy, but we're lifting up 4 priorities. Our department is relatively new within the last year, but we really have these 4 outlined priorities. The first is to advocate for policies that create better transitional services. One of the projects that I have worked on before and would love to continue working up is a more robust referral system between our MRS partners and our adult education providers. Shelley Neal and I have worked together on that project, and I hope we'll continue to lift up that work in an important way. Priority 2 is elevating revisibility for creating college culture for adult learners. Allowing adult learners to recognize that they don't have to choose between college and a career, but in fact that those two exist in the same ecosystem and that it really is college and career success. Priority 3 is we want to partner with agencies like MRS service providers, like our Michigan Works partners, like adult education providers, to think about how we can help you lift up some of this college going culture work at your institution. So prioritizing grant making opportunities, providing technical assistance, building the capacity that you have at the local level. And then lastly, coordinating professional development opportunities and creating learner access tools and resources that we can share out. And this is a first in that step. And I thank Todd for reaching out to allow us to share a lot of this information that will be available to you. Let's talk next about financial aid programs across the state of Michigan. College affordability is one of the most critical and important factors when folks are looking at the opportunities available for them. Over the last 4 years, there have been a number of initiatives announced across our state, programs such as Futures for Frontliners, Michigan Reconnect, the Michigan Achievement Skills Scholarship, and the Michigan Reconnect program, short-term training programs. We're going to talk about 2 of these programs today, the Michigan Achievement Skills Scholarship and the Michigan Reconnect program. But know that work has been done over these last years to really think about reaching into historically underrepresented populations and groups. And we would love to work with MRS and counselors there, directors within this system to think about how we can partner to share more of this information, to think about adult workers and learners as potential applicants for these spaces, and to share about the life-changing potential that it is available for an individual that pursues college or higher education credentials. So let's first start with Michigan Reconnect. So Michigan Reconnect was a program that's introduced to increase adult education attainment to meet the state's 60 by 30 goal, really with the adult learner in mind. Someone who has graduated from high school, obtained their high school diploma or equivalency, maybe started college and stopped out, maybe didn't enter college at all. This is the opportunity in the program that's now accessible in our state for folks to think about re-engaging or reconnecting in that space. Its goal is really to support closing our skills gap and really to foster a really more prosperous Michigan economy. It offers tuition-free or deeply discounted pathways for students to complete an associate degree or skills certificate at any Michigan or community or tribal college. And I think that's really important as we think about the system of community colleges across our state and the accessibility that they have for students and what students might be interested in. This is the movement. This is the thing that will move the needle for clients that you work with to think about that potential. And then lastly, one of the major goals is to provide individual opportunities for Michiganders to follow their dreams to find better jobs. I'm at a conference today called CALE about adult and experiential learning. And we were just talking about a pilot program that we're lifting up. But the takeaway from that is that we want to think about creating access and opportunity for all Michiganders, regardless of where they started, regardless of past experiences or challenges that they may have personally had, or success that they didn't find within a traditional educational or workforce training pathway. The time is now to really honor their lived heritage and their commitments, and to think about creating and helping them find a better pathway forward that really helps all of us. So eligibility for Michigan Reconnect begins currently at age 21. The time is really important to share this information because the deadline to apply for 21 to 24-year-olds is quickly approaching. December 31st of this year, 2024, is the deadline for someone 21 through 24 to apply for Michigan Reconnect and to be eligible. So that's an important takeaway for today if you are working with clients. Also, for eligibility, an individual must be a Michigan resident for at least a year and have a high school diploma, high school equivalent, or certificate of completion in order to be eligible for the program. An example of a high school equivalency in our state is a GED or a HiSET, HISET. They also must not have yet earned a college degree. So this would be an individual who graduated with a high school diploma or equivalency and would like to pursue college and maybe stopped out for a period of time, or someone who also has one of those credentials, started college and stopped out. And then lastly, probably one of the most critical things is that they must complete the FAFSA. What's really exciting too is that MCAN has resources that can help you or your clients that are interested in completing the FAFSA, and I'll share a little bit about that in a moment. But these are really this is really the eligibility threshold for Michigan Reconnect that is attainable by a large population of our learners. Over 1.4 million Michiganders are eligible for Michigan Reconnect based on this eligibility. Let's talk about the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. This, again, is another financial aid scholarship program that was created. It is delivered by the Michigan Department of Lifelong Education, Advancement, and Potential. Primarily, this has been targeted at K-12 graduates, but in a moment, I'll share and talk about why the adult clients that you're working with may also be eligible for Michigan Achievement Scholarship if they're not already eligible for the Michigan Reconnect. In many cases, individuals can be eligible for both, or they may be eligible for one or the other. And what's exciting is that those resources are pretty equivalent. And so it's not really a choose or, it's an and providing all of the resources necessary for someone to be successful in this space. So the Michigan Achievement Scholarship is the largest Michigan investment in higher education funding in history. It provides full or partial funding to be awarded at institution across Michigan through state and federal aid, including Pell Grant. It reduces student loan debt, which goes back to that affordability piece, and both supports skill training and multiple types of college degree pathway completion programs as well. The eligibility for Michigan Achievement Scholarship is that an individual must be a Michigan resident and a U.S. citizen, permanent resident, or approved refugee, and also that they are a graduate from a Michigan high school or its equivalent in 2023 or after. So you might be asking, okay, how are these slightly different, the Michigan Reconnect and the Michigan Achievement Scholarship? So think about it in terms of age and graduation. So Michigan Reconnect currently is age-based in terms of 21 and above. Michigan Achievement Scholarship includes eligibility by graduation year as a key component of work, in addition to all these other eligibility requirements. So let's say you're working with a client who happens to be 19. Right now, based on their age, they wouldn't be eligible for Michigan Reconnect, but if they were 19 and had a high school diploma or equivalency in 2023 or later, they would potentially be eligible for the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. What's exciting is that our state really wants to say that anyone who wants to pursue these opportunities is eligible for one or both of these programs. And I think the vision and the goal for, at least for MCAN and for the partners that we work in this space, is that regardless of your age and regardless of your graduating class, you are probably eligible at some point for resources under one or both of these programs. The third eligibility requirement is to enroll full-time as an undergraduate student at an eligible Michigan institution within 15 months of that graduation from high school or the equivalency graduation. And so there's a breakdown there of 2023 graduates would need to enroll by fall of 2024. 2024 graduates enroll by fall of 2025, and 2025 graduates enroll by fall of 2026. The last eligibility requirement for the Michigan Achievement Scholarship is that an individual could not be in default on a federal student loan. I've shared a lot of information with you about the Michigan Reconnect as well as the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. And it's important that you as an individual who may be working directly with clients in this space, or as a student or potential student themselves, that they think about this pathway and the opportunities that are available. So Michigan Achievement Scholarship, the eligibility is the same for all of these different components. And so there's a component here for the community college guarantee, the public or private universities across our state, community and tribal colleges are eligible under this. And so all post-secondary institutions are a piece of this. There's also a career training component. I'm not going to talk about the career training component today, only because the funds for that component have been exhausted, which is a good thing. It means that folks have taken advantage of the Michigan Achievement Scholarship career training component, but it wouldn't be prudent for me to share that information since the eligibility and the enrollment period is no longer currently applicable. So the community college guarantee is the kind of second part of Michigan Achievement Scholarship. This allows for great flexibility. You can start at a community or tribal college and then transfer to another institution or a four-year institution within our state. You can earn a certificate or associate degree and enter the workforce as well. So this is an option that many clients might want to consider as they think about the time-based challenges in front of them or opportunities in front of them, as they think about college affordability and what they have a commitment to do, as they think about familial obligations. These are all factors, going to those 7 factors that would be important for a client to think about. In order to qualify, again, very similar to the foundational Michigan Achievement Scholarship elements, for the community college guarantee component, an individual would need to complete a FAFSA, and we'll share some resources there in a moment. And also know that there's not a separate application. So as you are helping clients and they think about Michigan Achievement Scholarship, they would go through that similar process and not have the cumbersome or the tedious task of trying to complete several different applications. As these programs were designed and set up, that was very intentional. Adult learners and workers have valuable time and resources that shouldn't be taken up by bureaucraticness processes or trying to eliminate those as much as possible. To also qualify, the individual must enroll full-time at a participating Michigan community or tribal college within 15 months of high school graduation, similar to the other elements of Michigan Achievement Scholarship. And again, they would follow the same enrollment process, if you will, as the larger Michigan Achievement Scholarship. If they graduated in 2023, they must enroll by fall 2024, and so on there. I think what's also really important about this element and this factor is that for so long, college affordability was largely based on family income, right? And these programs provide an access route and pathway regardless of family income. That's a really critical piece of this for clients and the folks that you are working with to consider and to think about as they think about these pathways. The community college guarantee element of the Michigan Achievement Scholarship covers the cost of tuition at the in-district rate of participating Michigan community and tribal colleges. This is huge. This is big. This essentially means that an individual can attend, if they live within the district, free community college in our state. That is historic. It's an important investment, it's a life-changing investment, and it's something that really opens up a lot of opportunities, we know, for adults across our state that never thought that they might have the time or the resources or the affordability piece to be able to pursue those goals. It can pay for contact hours and mandatory fees, and includes a $1,000 Michigan Achievement Bonus Award for Pell eligible students, which can be used towards additional college costs, which is also very, very, very important for adult learners as they think about additional supplies and things that they would need to be successful at college. The big question that comes up around the community college guarantee aspect of the Michigan Achievement Scholarship is, what if I'm considered an out-of-district student at my community college? If you're considered an out-of-district student, the community college guarantee will still pay for a portion of your tuition and fees. That's really important. Regardless of geographic boundary, I think the other takeaway for today would be that regardless of geographic boundary, a portion of a student's community college will be covered under this financial aid scholarship program. So let's give you an example. If the out-of-district rate for a community college or tribal college happens to be $150 for tuition for a credit hour, the in-district rate is $100. Then the difference to be paid by the student would be $50. So the community college guarantee would cover the in-district rate, with the remaining amount being responsible for the student. The responsibility of the student may not be that they have to pay that out of pocket. There could be other scholarships that they're eligible for. There could be local philanthropic grants that are available. There could be work-based learning opportunities. I think that's also important to think that that doesn't have to be a sticker shock price to a learner or a potential individual to make that consideration. But this is just an example. And one of the important things would be that when that student or when that client completes the FAFSA, that is a very critical part of all of this. They should have contact with the local institution that they're interested in pursuing education at and have that conversation. And that local institution is the best resource for them to talk with them about their financial aid offer, their financial aid resources that are available, and think about other options outside of paying out of pocket for the student. So while this slide is helpful, I think I really want you to hone in on the fact that the difference that the student is responsible for is not necessarily something that the student ultimately will just pay out of pocket for. So with the community college guarantee, again, it's just really important to consider an in-district student and an out-of-district student. Your in-district student, if I go back, the tuition is covered completely for an in-district student. If a student is out of district, there would be responsibility to pay the difference between the in-district and the out-of-district rate. Another question that often comes up, and it may not impact our adult learners and clients that you work with, but it's worth mentioning, is if someone is dual enrolled or early middle college. Students can participate in the community college guarantee through this. I'm not going to spend too much on this slide. It doesn't always impact our adult learner populations, but I think it's worth mentioning that this is a part of this, and that students in this situation still must graduate from their high school in Michigan with a diploma, certificate of completion, or their high school equivalency. And that is the first step that they would need to be to do in order to continue forward and be eligible for the community college guarantee. That would be the takeaway for this. But many of those opportunities are not always available in terms of a dual enrollment or early middle college process for the adult clients that we work with. Thinking about the aspect of the Michigan Achievement Scholarship at public or private universities next. So in order to qualify for this, Michigan high school graduate, let me back up just one second too. The Michigan Achievement Scholarship again covers the community college guarantee, the Michigan achievement aspect of it, and then obviously the public and private university piece. So we've covered the eligibility overall for Michigan Achievement Scholarship, which is universal across all of these programs. And then we've talked about the community college guarantee aspect, and now we're talking about public and private university. So if someone wanted to attend a public or private university. To qualify for this element, the Michigan high school, the student must graduate from a high school or with equivalency class of 2023 and beyond. You'll notice that that theme is similar across all of these programs. And they would be eligible based on the fact that they have a student aid index of $30,000 or less. How do we find that information? How do we determine what the student aid index is? The first and most important thing would be to have that student or that client complete the FAFSA. There's not a separate application for this. It's all a part of the Michigan Achievement Scholarship eligibility. And in order to really secure and to know and to have that fully informed conversation would be to have a student or a client complete the FAFSA. And then they must enroll full-time, just like they would under the community college guarantee. This time, under this program, enroll full-time at a participating Michigan college or university. Additionally, for the thinking about community college guarantee, we talked about in-district and out-of-district. Public or private university is slightly different, but the details here are that the Michigan Achievement Scholarship to attend a public or private university would award $5,500 per year to be used towards the cost of attendance, up to $27,500 to earn a bachelor's degree, and is renewable up to 5 years. So there would be a 5-year period for an individual to maintain eligibility and to continue eligibility once they've become eligible to complete a degree at a public or private university and to be awarded these funds or to be eligible for these funds for cost of attendance. We've given you a lot of information. What is helpful are a few resources. You can find a large amount of these resources at michigan.gov/achievement. You can also find more specific information on each one of the opportunities, as well as michigan.gov/reconnect. This recording, as well as the resources, will also be shared out with you post today's session. So know that you will get all of this information available as well. And also know that we're a resource for you at any time. We have worked very closely with Michigan Student Aid, My Student Aid, the Michigan Office of 60 by 30, and all of us together serve in different roles and capacities to be able to offer resources in this space. Before I go to questions and answers, I also wanted to share just 1 or 2 additional resources that we're lifting up for clients that you might want to consider and think about. One is that we are doing a pilot partnership with 12 adult education providers across the state of Michigan to help individuals complete their high school diploma and equivalency, and then also take a college level examination program, or CLEP, C-L-E-P, test at the conclusion of their time in the adult education program. What this will do is allow a student to finish their adult education credential, then prepare to take and really essentially train to take a CLEP test and earn college credit. So they're graduating both with their adult education credential as well as potentially college credit that can then be transferred. So leveraging that with these financial aid scholarship programs that are now available for adult learners and for students across Michigan, we see that as an opportunity to accelerate folks in a totally new way to college that they never thought before. And in a matter of months, they could graduate not only with the diploma or equivalency that they've been working on, but then also accelerate into college with college credit utilizing CLEP. So if you'd like more information about that, I'll share my contact information in just a second, and happy to talk with you about where those providers are. There are 12 across the state of Michigan. Would love to connect you with your local provider if you're interested in having a student or client be referred to one of those programs. The second thing I'd like to offer to you is something called REFS, a program that we've lifted up called the Retired Educator FAFSA Specialist. So you saw the element of all of these programs was completion of a FAFSA. That could arguably be a very cumbersome or tedious process for a first generation college student or someone who's completing that for the first time. You may have the knowledge base for that, or you may find that you need additional support and resources. These retired educator FAFSA specialists can assist any client that you have for free in completion of the FAFSA and also working through these things. Primarily, they're focused on the Michigan Reconnect side of the program and can help someone complete the short Michigan Reconnect application. But I want to offer, that those are resources. If you'd like more information on that, please, again, reach out to me and I'll share that with you as well. But you can also find more information on the refs at mycollegeaccess.org/REFS refs. So those are two programs that we're lifting up that your clients certainly might have some overlap in terms of pursuing their certificate of completion or their diploma or their equivalency as an adult learner and want to think about obtaining some college credit that way. And then also if they are at the point of applying or wanting to complete their FAFSA and apply for Michigan Reconnect, we have supports that are available not only to you if you're holding an event or want to have them come to your office and work with clients or work with a client directly in a one-on-one situation. They would be happy to do that. We've got 22 of those individuals across our state. So at this point, I'll turn it back over to Todd and we can do some question and answer.
Hey, Patrick, thank you. That was very helpful and beneficial. And I also think that things like the retired educator FAFSA specialist in partnership with MRS counselors, I think would be extremely helpful for those individuals looking at what their options are and then applying for financial aid, which is usually the first step. So really appreciate that information. We do have a few questions. For somebody that already has an associate's degree, what sort of, I don't know the specific behind this, but what options are available for them as far as grants, scholarships, or other things? And you may have spoken to that sort of briefly.
No, that's a great question and an ongoing conversation, right? So many of these scholarship and financial aid program resources are available or targeted to adult learners who have some college but have not yet completed a degree. But we also know that there is a number of adults across our state that have perhaps an associate's degree or certificate and then want to go back and pursue higher education, bachelor's degrees. Maybe they want to finish finish a bachelor's degree, finish a higher degree of learning. Our recommendation would be that they go through a similar process, complete the FAFSA, see what financial state aid they're eligible for, and also have those conversations with the post-secondary institutions that they're interested in. Many post-secondary institutions, when an individual is looking to complete a degree completion program, offer private scholarships or offer foundational community-based scholarships that they can connect clients to. Our recommendation would be that they go to those institutions and have those conversations because a lot of local or philanthropic dollars are utilized to kind of fill that gap, if you will. It's an important thing. We want all Michiganders to be able to access and pursue their educational opportunities.
Thank you. Next question. Are there program or resources for adult students who can only attend part-time?
Sure. Great conversation and question. So looking at Michigan Reconnect, one of the defining features of that, I think that was Jessica that put that question to the chat. One of the defining features of Michigan Reconnect is that an institution determines full-time, a post-secondary institution determines full-time eligibility. So there are certificate completion programs, there are associate degree programs that have changed the landscape and how they're offered. And so I think for many of us who had the fortune to attend post-secondary opportunities, we're familiar with a more stagnant of Tuesday and Thursday classes from 9 to 10:15. So many of our post-secondary institutions have changed the way in which they offer courses, asynchronous or synchronous options. Also, the wraparound supportive services that they now have available. We could do an entire presentation, but our partners at MyLeap in the Office of 60 by 30 have invested a large amount of dollars into post-secondary institutions to think about things like childcare supports and food security resources and transportation resources. And many of those institutions have not only applied for those grants and are implementing those things, but have taken the lead initiatives on their own. And so again, I would go back to having that conversation or helping that client have that conversation with their local post-secondary institution to really be sold on what are the resources that they have available for them as an adult worker, adult caregiver, a parent, a guardian, because many institutions are starting to implement kind of more robust wraparound services in that way.
Thank you. So next question relates to the reconnect and specific to in district versus out of district. And the question is, for students who live in district in one area, but want to attend a community college elsewhere, because that community college offers specific programs, aviation, for example, or because they offer on-campus housing for students who are housing insecure, will the in-district rate be applied to the college of their choice? And then how will it affect students eligible for TIP funding?
Sure. So let's take the first question. The first question would be that they would only be eligible for the in-district tuition for the geography, based on the geography in which they live in relation to that community college. So that is important. So if they chose to go out of district to another community college, they would need to pay the out of district tuition rate for that, because then they are considered an out of district student to that community college. One of the things that would be important for that individual to think about, though, is that so many community colleges now are partnering with four-year institutions to think about transferability and the access routes that are available to them. And so there may be resources available to help fill in the gap, if you will, that if they were to go to a community college and then choose to transfer later on to a four-year institution, that could reduce that out of district costs for them in some regard. So again, reaching out to those post-secondary institutions and having those conversations with the admissions folk and with financial aid officers is really critical in that space. In terms of TIP, I don't want to do ill justice to that conversation. So I would ask that you reach out to us. We can give you a more robust answer to that. It's very nuanced based on an individual student's financial aid eligibility. And without sounding like I'm saying the same thing, we would encourage that all students complete the FAFSA and then talk with their financial aid office at the institution that they are interested in about eligibility. I think the takeaway for that question would be all institutions want to have your student or your client enroll with them. And so whatever pathway, whatever scholarship program almost doesn't matter to the student in the end, right? The student just wants to know that they're accepted, they're enrolled, and that they have the quality resources available to them. But the institutions have the knowledge behind the scenes to award whatever the highest level of financial aid is for that individual. And so they will be the experts to know what financial aid resources are the best to apply for that client that you're working with, so as not to not have them be eligible for one versus the other, where they might be losing out, if you will.
Thank you. Yeah, another question. Many students have a disability-related concerns participating full-time. Are there exceptions or pass-forwards for them?
It's a great question. So one of the key components that I would refer to as that self-advocacy for an adult client or learner. Helping the role in which I think that a lot of MRS counselors could play is in helping your clients understand what are the resources that they can advocate for or that they should articulate when they go to a post-secondary institution. Post-secondary institutions want to be responsive to the learners that they have. And so conversations with those learners about what resources that they might need, what resources are currently available, what future resources will be available are really important. And those conversations can be had at the point of speaking to an admissions counselor, speaking to a financial aid officer. I would always encourage someone to visit a campus, either physically if they're able or virtually. So many post-secondary institutions now have virtual campus site visits where you can actually go, setting up a virtual or in-person meeting with a representative from that institution to talk about those concerns and to talk about those resources. Also just thinking about having or inviting, if you have a service center site where clients are coming, having those post-secondary institutions come to the service center site and talk directly with clients. Convince them why they should come to their post-secondary institution. Talk about the resources that they have available. All of those pieces and factors are really helpful tools. And if you've got additional questions about creative strategies to do that, or if you're interested or think that you might have some financial barriers in doing that, we have a lot of opportunities that we'd love to work with you with to think about awarding you grant dollars to be able to lift up some of those innovative ideas or have a college fair at your service center. So don't feel like the work is done alone. So would love to follow up on that conversation and offer some more tangible things. And if you've got ideas specifically that you want to try, we'd love to think if there was a way that we could support those.
Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate it. There was another question in the chat, but I think it was something that was more not specific to this presentation. So that's all for now.
Great. Well, thank you, Todd, and thank you everyone for attending today. Here is my contact information if you'd like to reach out. Certainly all of these resources will be available to you, and I'm sure Todd will tell you the details of that. But certainly we'd love to have a conversation. And this is the beginning of, I hope, a continued partnership with all of you at MRS. The work that you do is very close to me personally. I talked about my time in adult education, working with so many wonderful people. I'm at MRS and across the Department of Leo, and just really value your time and dedication to helping so many adult Michiganders reach their full potential and think about the opportunities that they have available. So feel free to join in the conversation. We have our fall conference next week. I know registration is maxed out, but maybe some of you will be there. And in the future, if you've got ideas on how we can share more of this information out, or if you've got continued questions, feel free to reach out.
Looking forward to the partnership, Patrick. Thanks again. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.